There, thank you.
All right.
Welcome. Just getting my glasses cleaned. Thank you. There, now I can see. Welcome to today's virtual studio party. I trust all of you know that I'm Kim Lee Coe, and I've got Cal Honey by my side, well,
Hello.
across the table, helping me out here. And please say hi in the chat if you're able, and let us know where you're from or how you're doing. Hi, Gerda. Yes, I don't know how it is where you are, Gerda, but it's very gray, and I think it was raining earlier. So it seems like a perfect day to stay in and do some studio stuff.
Val's here.
Hi,
Hey,
Val. Nice to see you. So, I'm going to work on my altered book some more. And I've been looking through. Oh, was it sunny and warm earlier, Gerda? Wow. I don't think it was here.
No,
I think it's been gray
so, yeah.
all morning. So that's nice that you got
Mia says it's sunny in London. Sorry.
Lovely.
Yeah. Hello, Mia.
Hi, Mia. So glad you could make it. So I've been flipping through this book, figuring out some things that I want to do. And I'm going to switch the angle and pull it back some. Move it back more, yes, please. Thank you. Because right now my head is cut off. So if you could tilt the thing up a little bit. Ever so slightly more. Sorry, a little bit down.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's fine tuning. Sorry, guys. Just trying to get the angle right so that you can see what I'm doing and see me.
Yeah, that looks good, actually.
I see more people have joined us. Hi, Philippa. Nice to see you here, too. Even though I can't see your face, it's nice to see that you're here. So yeah, I've been going through this book trying to, figure out some next steps. I'm quite liking this. Every time I revisit this bold pattern intervention on this spread, I enjoy it. So I'm thinking that the book will feature more large-scale pattern involved.
Marcia says hi, and Gunta says you look great with that wonderful haircut.
Thank you, Gunta. Yes, I don't have my exceedingly long tresses. I don't have all that weight anymore because see my cut there. Cal was kind enough to do some research and learn how to make my favorite kind of haircut so that I could finally be relieved of all that hair. And I'm so happy. So thank you, Cal. Yeah, so I think large pattern needs to come back in somewhere. You remember last week I did this spread here with the fish net, and this is about fish farming, and this is a look down into one of the fish farm enclosures, and I did some gel plate printing and some paint pen drawing on it. Well, I'm going to glue this spread together. And did you guys bring anything with you that you're going to work on, or are you just hanging out, maybe having a bite to eat? I really must get more of this out. There we go. I think we're going to go through a lot of these glue sticks, Cal. I think we're going to have to buy a bigger pack.
Yeah, we had this discussion about how many glue sticks to buy, and I said, should we get 12? And Kim said, no, I think we'll be okay with 3.
Because we're not doing in-person classes. So I thought, well, 3 big ones is actually pretty good. Not realizing I was going to be doing altered books. And Cal's just doing more and more collage, not any less. So, yeah, my bad, as they say.
Mia says she's doodling. Should make a collage or something out of them. There are doodles everywhere around the house.
Oh, that's awesome. Doodles. What a great collection of material you'll have. Yeah, if you got a box or something, you put them in. Box or a bag or binder. I was just before the party started, I was organizing my custom made stencils and some of my store-bought stencils, or our store-bought stencils, into page protectors in binders. And that is just going to be so much easier than our previous non-system.
Philippa says, super cool hair. Very trendy.
Thank you.
And Gunta says she's working on my collage homework while I eat lunch and listen to the artist banter and also get inspired by the amazing creativity of the mighty Kim.
Well, thank you, Gunta. That's very kind of you. And I'm delighted to hear you're working on the collage stuff.
I was also working on collage.
Great. Yeah. Boy, the activity in the Facebook group for Virtual Collage Jam is just fantastic. It's great to see. So I'm just using this applicator to burnish the glued pages, and just doing it on the other side now. The other side of that glued page is this, which you saw me do, or if you were here 1 or 2 times ago, you saw me do, riffing off of the fishing net or fish farm enclosure buoy system along the top. So that's good. So now I go from that to this. Now let's see what we've got here. Yeah, so this spread, just kind of walking you through, how I'm thinking while I'm looking, what's that's worth. So this is the next spread, and it has an illustration of fish and crustaceans. It's kind of murky. There's nothing wrong with the illustration, but it's not exciting me. So I think that might be another candidate for gluing.
Just a little thing to pass along. Philippa says, I'm just relaxing after painting from a live model on Zoom yesterday afternoon.
Oh, good for you, Philippa. Yes, there's a lot of that going on now, I noticed. I was thinking this is, I teach figure, but for quite a while, my only opportunity to draw the figure has been demonstration drawings during class. So I thought one of these days I'm going to take advantage of one of the online sessions. Etienne Buxton is running his own, is a model who's running his own online sessions, and he's a terrific model. So he's also an artist, but I thought I might take advantage of his. Okay, so I think I'm going to glue that together.
Marcia says she's just watching today. Her modem's too far away from the art room.
Right.
That's my excuse.
By the way, if you ever, given our situation, if you feel like you really want to be able to get good, strong internet at a location, house or apartment that's not close to the modem, you can order from probably Best Buy, Staples, those kinds of places, a crossover Ethernet cable. That's the kind you need. It's crossover Ethernet, not the regular Ethernet cable, and plug that directly into your modem. And if you get one that's long enough, we used to have ones that were 100 feet long in our old house. It was a bigger house. And we didn't have all the hardwired Ethernet that we do in our house now. But just an option if you find you're getting frustrated.
I think there are also plug-in Wi-Fi boosters, extenders that you can.
Oh yes, that's true. That you can plug into just your regular electrical outlets, and it will boost your Wi-Fi. So that's another thing to consider. And then you don't have a big cable running through your house, tripping you up, or having your dog run through it, or whatever, your cat chew on it, or yeah. So that's a really good idea.
So Kim, are you gluing pages together because you don't find the content that interesting, or are you specifically wanting thickness of page?
Thickness of page is handy, but also this content doesn't interest me a lot. So if there were a run of pages that didn't interest me a lot, then I could cut a section out. But there is a page, just a couple of pages on that I do like, so I'm going to glue these together. And you'll notice I glue both surfaces. Most of you may know that, but just in case anyone here doesn't know that, you really need to glue both sides, both surfaces that are going to be together, or it will not last. It will not be a durable bond. And I burnish it very quickly after, so that the glue doesn't set up until it's actually making a bond.
Am I imagining things, or did I see you doing the strokes in one direction on one page and the other direction in the other? I think you did.
I might have done that.
It's a good idea.
It is a good idea. I can't say that it was as methodical as that sounds. But yeah, it's a very good idea. So take note. Okay. So this is the spread that I like. This is an underwater scene. And I like the color of it. And I also like spatial qualities of it. And I don't know. There's something about that I like. And I like the diagram too. I don't even care what the diagram's about. Of course, it's about fish farming in some respect. But the grid is quite nice. So I'll get this pair of pages glued together as well. And then I'll have an even thicker . And then I can contemplate what to do with that spread. That's the advantage of using the glue stick, is that I can work on that spread soon after gluing. There we go. It gets almost like brushing it on after you get a rhythm going. Okay. Notice I'm lifting up this bulk of the book. So, the pages are designed to be like this and then opened up. So if I have this all the way open and then glue it together, there'll be quite a gap at the end of the page. I'm going to find some sort of happy medium between it being closed and being all the way open as I glue it together. There, I've got a little bit of air pocket in there, but you know, that's just part of the handmade nature of this object, in my case. All right. So I thought I was enjoying looking at this. See the, you can tell which part of the book I have worked in because of the irregularity of how the pages and the extra thickness.
Yeah, cool.
And that's why you do need to periodically cut out sections. I do actually have a section I cut out earlier. Just past those, it's right in there. You can see I cut out multiple pages, and you can see it. You can see it subtly at the there. So that makes room for the increased thickness from gluing pages together. The thickness of the glue itself adds thickness, as well as any materials, you know, and I haven't even collaged into, I haven't done a lot of collage. This is mostly just apparent collage from materials that were on the page.
And the glued together papers have a bit of wave to them.
They
and
do.
They also don't bend as easily.
No,
So
they're stiffer.
It means that they do add thickness that way too. Yeah.
Some people will even...
Hey, Simone. Yay.
Hi, Simone. So glad you could join us. Some people will even sort of ahead of time go through and essentially turn this into a board book before working in it. So they'll have some fairly thick chunks cut out and then laminate together, glue together a whole bunch of pages so that it ends up quite thick, 1/16 of an inch thick, for example. But there, I've just got 3 pages together, so it's thick, but it's not really thick, and it's certainly still flexible. But I think I want to look at this underwater scene and see what I think. I'm going to check what's on the other side, and I'm going to glue that together. And then that spread will be set up.
So I've asked Val and Gunter what they were collaging, and Val says she's using tea bags and magazine images. And I said,
wow,
with the translucency, that might be kind of fun.
Yeah. Tea bags can be quite wonderful. I've seen some lovely tea bag art that involve printmaking and drawing onto them. So you guys watching anything that you would recommend? Last night I watched the final 2 episodes of The Night Manager. And I have to say that I officially have a crush on Tom Hiddleston now. There, I'm admitting it in public. I don't care if he's almost 20 years younger than me, you know.
Details, details.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you won't mind.
I won't.
And he can dance. Seriously, if you like dancing, check out on YouTube, do a search for Tom Hiddleston dancing. He's an amazing dancer. Wow. And I didn't know this, but he did a film. Now, of course, I'm not going to remember what it's called. It's not that long ago, where he played Hank Williams, and he did the singing and playing, and he did the, you know, the accent and the whole shebang. So I think I might have to check that out. There we go.
Simone says, I asked her if she was triangulating, and she says she's not triangulating, taking a break after 2 heavy triangle days.
Yeah, your Instagram posts have been amazing.
Working on a sketchbook prompt mixed media thing. Just
Mm.
plain, really. Simone, is that Lisa Irvine's initiative?
Yeah, are you doing Lisa Irvine's sketchbook project? Looks interesting. I haven't seen what the first prompt was home, right? And is it is it a different prompt every day or every week? It must be every day, I'm thinking, because knowing Lisa Irvine is an artist in Mississauga who is becoming known now for her 100-day projects, because she shows up faithfully every day, does it for 100 days, even though she's got a full-time teaching job and so on. She manages to do it. It's quite amazing. Oh, that's interesting. So something that's suggesting, I don't know what it's suggesting right now, but you see these circles are going down here and all the way down. So those seem to be holes in the walls of this aquaculture setting that octopuses are live in and hide in. And you can see one here where the octopus is in profile, and that's the hole it's coming out of. And so that immediately suggests perforation to me, you know? Yeah, I think I'm going to have to perforate. And I like doing that because it opens things up, it creates some depth. So I'm going to have to find my knife. Here's my good knife. Have you seen the knife I was using yesterday?
I haven't, but I will find it for you.
Again, that's something that should be in this little case.
There's one over here.
Oh.
I think that's
Yeah, no, it's a proper Olfen knife.
There's a knife in there. So
Again,
it's wrong.
not a
Oh,
proper
okay. Yeah,
Olfen
okay.
knife.
I'll get it.
I was using a proper Olfen knife yesterday.
I know where I can get mine.
My assistant will go get my knife. My assistant. We assist each other. Anyway, always cap your glue sticks. But it is A1. That's good. Okay, I've got a good. I'm going to share something with you that was very exciting yesterday that happened and came into our lives yesterday. Just before I get to perforating that. I can get at it. So yesterday we had a from a safe distance conversation with one of my favorite artists, Toronto artist Nicole Collins, and she made the trip all the way out to our place from downtown to deliver this amazing painting. It's in caustic, so you can see the surface if I tilt it. Whoops, something's gone weird with the color. Anyway, there, that's better. There, now you can see the surface really well. And it's called Blessure, as in bless with a U-R-E at the end. And it's about blood and cells and blood cells. And she saw my Heart Space show, so she knows how why I'm so drawn to work like this of hers. She did a whole series of these. And anyway, it was amazing that she actually came and delivered it. And so we had a lovely chat with her. God, she was probably 15 feet away or 20 feet away from us, right?
And we talked for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, we had a 40-minute conversation. What a treat during this isolation to see a live human being that we were having an actual conversation with. I mean, we have said hi to our neighbors, but that's about it. Anyway, do you mind putting this back, dear?
No.
Thank you. So I just wanted to share that with you because I'm very excited about that painting. And yeah, it's up on our mantle, which is where we put everything that we're contemplating or enjoying.
So Mia says, beautiful work. Encaustic is a challenging medium, obviously not for your artist friend.
No, she is an expert encaustic artist. She teaches, she's a professor at OCAD University. And she teaches materials and making your own pigments, making your own oil paints. You know, she's a real materials expert.
And Simone says, oh, I love Nicole. Ages ago, I audited one of her classes at TSA. Love this work.
Yeah. And Nicole herself is a light in this world. Yeah. So she's actually planning to come to one of the virtual studio parties. And she's got some books she's gonna alter while she's here. So I think she's expecting to come next week. So, you know, come along and hopefully she'll chat a little bit and yeah, should be fun. So yeah, no, she was quite excited that Cal and I are doing this in the virtual collage jam. So she wants to check them out, and because she thinks it's such a, she'd like her students to kind of know about, you know, doing things like this, and it's a good thing for artists to be doing. All right, so to make my perforations, I'm going to get a cutting mat and put it behind the page so I don't put the rest of the book. That's good. All right. So I'll be saying goodbye to some little octopuses. I've learned
Octopodes.
I learned that it's not based on Latin, the US, so
Right.
ending. So octopi is not the right way to.
Right. Simone also says, I also took that class at OCAD. So wonderful.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that being great for you, Simone. Another great teacher who's an artist friend of mine who specializes lots of things. I mean, nature-based art, science art, all kinds of things, making natural pigments, making his own paints, is Cole Swanson. Fantastic artist who did me the great compliment when I had my show at the Redhead in November of buying one of my little paintings, the one that was very, very thick and visceral. And he totally got it. You know, some people looked at that painting and thought, what? But he looked at it and really, really got it, which is perfect, right? I mean, that's where you want your art going to, people who love it. So yeah, one of the many things we talked to Nicole about.
Mm-hmm.
So these aren't going to be perfect circles.
Uh-oh.
Because I don't have a punch this size that has a long arm, so it's gonna be my wonky circles. That's fine. And I think I'll keep that arm whole, so this circle will be partial. I had a few people ask me recently about teaching something about acrylic mediums, a course covering a lot of acrylic mediums, which is, you know, versions of which I teach normally in the summer at Halliburton and have taught various workshops and courses elsewhere. So I'm keeping that in the back of my mind as something to offer in a future session. And also image transfers, multiple approaches to making image transfers, because that's a perennial favorite as well. Now we've got this scuba diver in the way, but there are some, I don't know.
You could have them not go where he is.
Just get this.
Mia says, I don't think I could cut out the circle as perfectly as Kim Lee is cutting it if my life depended on
it. Well, bless you. Of course, Cal would do a tidier job, but we all have our unique gifts, and mine have their own personality. So think of it that way, Mia. Yours would just have your unique personality. All right. I know some people, for example, are afraid of drawing, even though they do all kinds of art things. Drawing is the thing they're afraid of, because we often have embedded beliefs about what drawing is, what good drawing is, what good drawing looks like. And someone at some point told us we couldn't do that, whatever that was. And drawing is so many things. I love drawing. I've always loved drawing. But growing as an artist has meant, and learning more, I continue to learn more and more and more about what drawing can be, which has nothing to do with whether you can render something perfectly or get a likeness in a portrait. There's so many other valuable things drawing can do. So that it, literally just about anybody could do in some way. Yes. Okay. So now I've got my perforations. So I'm going to share those with you, because this is the stage at which I would be contemplating my perforations. So there they are. And isn't that fun?
That's great.
I just love that effect. It just never gets old for me. Now look at what's on the flip side. It's kind of funny because the lack of perforation doesn't make sense, or sorry, lack of hole, I'll put it that way, doesn't make sense there on this side. So I think what I'm going to do is collage in a circle there so that it has a logic on this side, but I'll let the ones that are partial just stay partial. There'll be enough of a setup. And that gives me an opportunity, because I can use one of the cutouts that I just cut out to bring visual material from the underwater scene to this ship, cargo ship or whatever.
So like Mia said, probably cut my fingers, bloody painting. And I said the original red pigment.
Exactly. The oldest pigment in the world.
And Simone said, yes, drawing is so many things. And
yeah.
then Mia said, wondering what will come of the newly cut holes. Anticipation is part of the fun. Thank you for making me happy this afternoon.
Aw, that's so lovely, Mia. Thank you. You're making me happy. So it's mutual, right? Lovely. So I'll get this glued on. And I'll just hold it, press and hold it for a minute. So that the bond has some strength before I flexing the page around a lot. So if you make a perforation in something like this, you know, one of the things you have to think about is, so when I look through that cutout, am I seeing something that I enjoy seeing? You know, is it a sort of fun surprise, fun, it brings some fun dissonance or contrast of some kind onto the page that's on the top surface. And maybe it does in some places and not in others. So what you can do is think about, well, are there things I could do with the perforation, the holes? I'm going to call them holes. Try and remember things I can do behind those holes that will make them more interesting. Okay. So this is kind of interesting to me that I've noticed. The illustration on the previous page, the underwater illustration, goes partway onto this page here. So when I open this up,
opportunity,
this whole side shows that underwater scene through the holes, except this wasn't a hole. So I have collaged in, glued on a cutout that has that content. And so that's really, that's a satisfying relationship there of bringing in certain material on this side, because you've got a through and you've got an on top, and yet they're the same kind of content.
It's noticing something and seeing an opportunity to have a little play thing that then the viewer can notice and go, oh,
yeah,
same, different.
It's like inverting things too. That's always an interesting thing to play with. And then the other column of them is showing through to text and diagram in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually, at this point, I'm pleased with what I'm seeing through those holes. Now that I've added that in, I feel like that's gone somewhere good.
There's an interesting dialogue between the white showing through and then the spray in the picture.
Yeah.
That might be worth
well, and I'm looking at the spray, and something is coming to me. Of course, it's another drawing thing. I don't want to freak people out that I'm always drawing things, but that's, you know, it's also like I draw. So I like to, and in this case, what's occurring to me is I love the, in East Asian art, there are a lot of pattern-based representations of water that are beautiful, and I'm thinking, as well as just kind of conventions of how to treat water. Just Western art has conventions of treating water, and Eastern art has conventions of treating water. So I kind of feel like seeing the roiling water around the ship as it moves forward, that it might be interesting to bring that in. But I won't do that today.
Mia says, we love drawing.
Oh, good. Drawing's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna add. So here, isn't this interesting? So I've got all these circles, you know, my orange necklace basically going around, and then the next spread has these circles. So there's something, you know, there's an interesting connection going on there, and it makes for a bit of harmony, unification through the book without looking like unification. You know, things get too samey, that then it's not interesting. So yeah, that is And I have this spread that also has circles that are whole, seeing through to a page underneath. In this case, though, I glued it to the page underneath. So,
so how much of that is happenstance, and how much of it is planned? The sort of idea of repeating circular elements.
it's planned. This is, so you gotta know, I'm not saying design isn't involved, but design in response to, as I'm going through the book and responding to the material. This is not planned at all. You saw me make the decision live to cut those open without thinking about the fact that this was, now I had flipped through the pages, so in my subconscious knew this was here, but my conscious didn't at all. I mean, I have trouble remembering a lot of things. So my conscious certainly wasn't remembering that. Now there's a big circle on this page. And circles do happen to be a shape that I love. So I was immediately drawn to this last week because of the circle. But you see, this doesn't have circles.
One of the, like the end paper spread has a drawn circular element. Very different feeling, but again, it's circular, right? Very different. Yeah. So that was, you started that a long time ago now.
Long time ago, yeah. And it's got little loose, irregular circles drawn in fine pen. You can see those here. So they're not really circles, but related, right? And I don't know, just I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about, can you give me that white binder that's on top of the art book there? Because I think I've got stencil I might like to use on this spread. Oh, always close your glue sticks promptly. And I also, before going live, I got out my tube of Golden Open black acrylic paint. Open acrylics are just ones that are slow drying. And because I have an idea, I have no idea where I'm going to use it or how, but I'm kind of hoping I will do a transfer drawing process. Okay.
Mia says, love the circle pages are beautiful. The colors are gentle and yet the drawing strong.
Thanks, Mia. Yes, I knew I had a stencil. I guess it was my gel printing class that saw this stencil I had made. And also a part-time earring.
And is that made out of, what's it made out of?
This is made out of Duralar, which is just a different brand name for the same material as Mylar. So it's a plastic, a thin, strong, frosted plastic.
I asked Simone if she'd ever get around to doing circles, and she says, I started with circles about the size of a pinhead.
Of course you did. A pinhead. Oh my God. I'm glad you switched to triangles. Just while this is here, this is another stencil I made a while ago. And, you know, Duralar is a premium drafting material. But this one I made out of a page protector. And so it's kind of thin, but as I keep applying coat paint to it, as I use the stencil, it's getting thicker and stronger. So there you go.
More layers of paint, the stronger it gets.
Yeah, that's right. And that's true of paper stencils too.
Simone says, me too. I will post some pics later so you can see the size. I said it would look like foam.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now that's giving me ideas too, vis-a-vis the spread I was just looking at.
Mia says, I made my own paper stencils that are now plastic stencils.
Exactly. Get enough acrylic on there and baby, they'll last, right?
Yeah, the key part is to not have super wet paint the first couple of times, and then it will disintegrate. But if you use sort of thicker paint the first couple of times, then it becomes stronger.
Drier applications. Well, and so here's the thing. So if you don't have plastic that's really floppy can be difficult to work with. The page protector was actually a little bit difficult to work with. It was difficult to cut and to use until I got some more paint on it. But I was just thinking earlier today that applying varnish to a paper stencil would be good because it would be harder than just regular paint or acrylic medium. And so it would be less inclined to get gooey when kept damp for an extended period. So just a thought I thought I'd share with you.
So Mia says she gessoed them.
Ah, okay.
And then back to small circles on Simone's, she said they were so small on my etching plates, they had to change the acids to get into the lines.
Oh my God.
Simone, only you could draw a line so fine that the acid molecules couldn't get into it unless they were...
Seriously. That's amazing. This is from your printmaking days. That's cool. Well, there's nothing like pushing your materials in your medium. That's a good place to be. Oh, now you see that? That looks kind of interesting.
It says, varnish is a great idea. For the life of me, I cannot find my stencil file. Moving.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm sure it'll turn up at some point, but it's so frustrating when you make a move. You can't find your stuff. We moved decades ago, and I still can't find my stuff. Some of it I can, but some of it's long term. Okay, just holding that down and taking a look to see what I think of that. I'm going to try different directions. See.
Depends whether you want to accentuate or play against the sort of wakeness of the...
Well, I'm just thinking about this. Positioning some of the gaps to conform with the leading edge of the ship. That could be a better relationship because, of course, that's where it's breaking through the water. Is it getting, it doesn't matter that the photo represents it, but getting that feeling of it parting the waters. So, get a couple more pieces of tape on that.
Irene Faz has joined us.
Hello, Irene. Okay. Just thinking about what I'm going to do. Can you pass me the gesso when you have a moment? That tray down at the bottom. The tray that you put on the floor.
Yep. Irene, ever the school teacher, says, "Sorry, I'm late."
You're allowed to drop in whenever.
You missed the bell, Irene. Yeah. And I asked her if she's healed from her fall, and she says yes.
Oh, I'm glad. I like the blue color of the water, but I want to establish these shapes. So I'm going to use a sponge to apply the gesso. Of course, I forgot to put my barrier cream on before getting paint all over my hands. So I'm going to take a moment to get this off before it becomes difficult to get off, and then put the barrier cream on. There. That's better. Possible that next week I'll bring some image transfer into the book. I haven't done some. I did some earlier on in the book before the virtual studio parties began. And I'd like to have more in the book, but it seems like my responses today are precluding that. My responses to the material.
Irene says she dropped off her bike for a tune-up and picked up supplies at Staples. And she's looking forward to resting and then doing some art today. Lots of cool stuff to do after her classes with us.
Great. Projects on the go. Keeping the sponge quite dry so that the effect is very porous.
Breathy, as you would say.
Breathy, yes. Is that a Kim thing?
That's
Call it breathy?
Yeah.
I do use that, I know. I'm going to have some of this pattern also go over the ship. In some places it will end up being stronger, and in other places it'll be more subtle.
Is it titanium white you're using, and is it fluid?
It's gesso.
Oh, it's gesso, right.
Because it's good and opaque.
Right. Mia asks, which barrier hand cream is good?
Well, this is the one I'm using, and I quite like it. I've used a number of them. It's Winsor & Newton Art Guard. And it's thicker. So it's more like, in texture, it's more like a cold cream, less like a lotion. And I just find that I feel like it's staying on better. You know, that could just be, I could be mistaken, but that's the sensation I have, and I seem to have good luck washing off my paint with it, so I'm a satisfied customer.
She says, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's good to know about things like that, I know. When I was earlier on in my development as an artist, I was so hungry for tips like that, because, you know, you need to build up that knowledge. It's part of your equipment, that knowledge. And recommendations from other artists, especially as new products are always coming out. You know, that wasn't out years ago when I first started using barrier cream. So I just gave it a go when I noticed it one time to see if it was any better than what I was using. All right, let's see how that looks. Never yank the painter's tape off of delicate surfaces like this, like a magazine page or a book page. As soon as you encounter resistance, you stop and then really slow down and ease it off, and then you'll get it off. So that is what's happened so far on that thing there.
Ah, that's great.
It has a nice feeling, eh? It's almost like a wing or something.
It's echoing the wave, the spray, but in a more graphic way, which I really like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mia says, yes, learning from the others is the bestest, as one of my students say.
Yeah, I have some blue-green ink somewhere nearby. There it is.
FW? Yeah, you got it.
I got it. Okay.
What do you like in inks, Kim, out of curiosity, and what for where and how?
Okay, well, I love India ink. India ink is very related to the Chinese ink I was using when I was growing up. Although the Chinese ink was much more laborious because it was the hard stick of ink that grind on the stone. I do love the luxury of a bottle of wet ink after those times of grinding. Now I'm sure there's a beautiful mindfulness meditation involved in the grinding. Sometimes I just want the ink and I just want to put it on, right? So that's my favorite ink. And of course you can buy bottles of Japanese and Korean and Chinese ink. They usually have a fragrance or a scent to them, and I'm not sure what it is. And I remember I had a fabulous Korean artist in my class for 2 or 3 terms, and she worked with bottles of traditional ink. And the fragrance would build up in the room, and so I had to position her near the door. Anyway.
Was it a pleasant fragrance, or?
It was, but that's
strong.
a subjective thing,
totally.
And it would build up, and some people were sensitive, and
Yeah.
so they weren't used to it, so that's part of it too. It was an unfamiliar. I'll try an elastic first. You can give it a go if I can't get it open.
So, acrylic ink wise, do you?
I love acrylic ink. Yeah. Is there anything specific I like? You mean like brand?
Yeah, or qualities of.
Well, I find this FW separates really, it is a FW. It separates really badly. So you see all this light stuff. So this is an intense blue-green ink, and all that is separation of some component of the ink. I can't get this open. I'll give you this and the elastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear. So I don't like that. A little bit of separation's fine, but that one just seems to separate really a lot. Now, other than that, I have no complaints about the ink. I should probably give it a little shake. It'll make it bubbly, but it will bring the components together. So I recently, in the last couple of years, I bought a set of Amsterdam inks that happened to be on sale. And they've been fine.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've used them for a bunch of heartworks.
I kind of thought that was like a lower end.
They seem fine. And they had a bunch of reds that I couldn't get in Liquitex. Right. So I have some Liquitex, which I love. Mm-hmm. And can separate, but it's reasonable, not like this one. And the Amsterdam seem to be really good. So
I've found I really like the golden high flow, which is basically they don't call it ink, they call it acrylic, but it's basically the consistency of ink.
It's because they've replaced both airbrush and that's the air. They used to have airbrush paints, I think.
Right.
And so
right.
high flow is both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where have I put the china? There was a white china. Oh, here it is. The problem is I need another one because that one has gesso in it. Okay. It is nice working out of your own studio, and you forget something, you do a setup, and then you forget something, but you just go over there and get it instead of, oh, I left it at home. I'll have to do without it. But yeah, I want a clean dish for this ink. That is probably too much. Oh well. And what I'm thinking is using this stencil again. To interfere using the blue-green, interfere with the foam a little bit. We'll see how that goes. So once again, this wasn't planned, right? This is the thought that's occurring to me. Was it starting to occur to me as I was working on the white?
You say that, but I saw you up at 6 a.m. rehearsing.
You didn't see me up at 6 a.m. So we know that's a lie. Not he might not have been up, but because I definitely wasn't up. All right, let's see how this goes.
So that's significantly wetter. Or is it?
I got an unfortunate sort of dense spot there, but it is fairly, I mean, you know, yeah, see, part of it is wetter.
Right, the corner of the sponge is, the rest is
drier. Yeah, so note to self, check. And I'll bring some of this blue out into the white margin of the page and over the dark blue of the water in the photograph. And then the photo will be less cut off. The white also goes out into it, but that's a subtle effect. You can see it in person, you know, looking at the book close up, but it's, for now it's subtle. Maybe what I should do though is consider Let's see what that looks like. Okay.
Kind of fun the way it's going out on that white edge beyond the photo.
Yeah. White is too. Just when I go oblique like that, you can sort of make out the continuation of the white shapes.
Would you consider some sort of extension of that same pattern sort of out onto the white text page beside it?
I might. I just might. I'm first of all getting this in place to see if I can bring some additional, by sort of fudging my positioning of the stencil. See if I can bring some additional blue into my margin. Yeah. So now, oh, let me do this. You can see the blue's carrying to the edge. And that's a good thing to do. Now what I do, I'm going to do one more thing here. I am going to make one come.
Sorry.
That's all right.
The chat has gone very quiet. I think everyone's busy working away.
I'm just going to share with you, I've just added that point that's coming out now. So.
Yeah, that's good.
Needed something like that there.
Would you enter the sort of slightly greener color that's showing through the holes?
Well, I think this is kind of the bridge color.
Right.
Between the sort of Prussian blue or almost Payne's gray blue of water in the photo. Yep. And the more teal. Slightly, yeah, teal. That's it. On the blue side of green, with this sort of almost cyan color, which is on the green side of blue. So, wow, I really poured out way too much ink. So it's nice to have a clean dish, so I can pour some of the ink back.
Remember how my father used to always be amazed at any of us who could actually pour something back into a bottle without spilling it?
Yeah, because he couldn't, to save his life.
Yeah.
He'd get us to transfer things into jugs or bottles or whatever for him. Yeah. He was good at many things, but not fine motor control.
Fine motor
ever.
Was not his strength.
No, it's true. Okay, so thinking about what Cal said, now that I have those shapes there, something is needed over here in a big way. So I'm wondering if I have something or if I need to make something. I probably need to make something.
Could you use your stencil to cut pieces of paper into those wavy shapes?
I need something bigger.
Right. Bigger than that. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Not that small. So I'm going to get myself a piece of paper. Oh, those were cut for my plate. Here's something. Yeah, that's not big enough. I'll get a bigger piece.
Okay. You've got some. That's good.
I do.
Yep.
Because I got organized before the party, I can actually see and find things on this table to my side, which is quite exciting after 2 days in a row of classes where I've got pulling out stuff and putting stuff all over the place.
Mia says, I'm doodling Kim Lee's face. Got her earring and new haircut in.
There you go. Yeah, I really love it when it's down. Obviously, when I'm working, it's I like to tuck it behind my ear, but My favorite is when one side's down. Anyway, that's fun. Okay, so I'm going to get a pencil and kind of respond. I'm going to lay this down here. This is where Mylar would be fantastic because I could look through it and see the material that's underneath it while I'm drawing and figuring out. But I'll just flip this over. Oh, I've got more than one sheet. I don't need more than one sheet, that's for sure. So there's a line that's coming off the photo that I'm going to pick up from, because that's that's a great starting point whenever you're doing something. If you've got something to respond to, something to continue, something to echo, but a continued line will add a lot to the...
That's something I've been playing with collage quite a bit. Taking two separate images and looking for a dominant line and aligning them so that there are two different images but one continuous line. It's fun. That's
a great way to work. Yeah.
Mia says, gorgeous hair. The earrings are interesting and do not look cheap but artsy. I said those cog earrings were cheap, but they're so great.
Yeah, they're pure aluminum.
They're nice and light, even though they're hefty. And I said, maybe she could use them as a tracing template or stencil or stamp.
I could.
They do have a circular component.
I could cover them in barrier cream first. And then just trying to get the relationships to work well. So there's a feeling of flow. But also, the lengths of things lengths and widths of things look happy. Happy, not literally as in feeling happy, but look right, feel right. So there is a logic to visual relationships. It's not a left brain logic. It's not the same logic as numbers and so on, but there is a logic.
A sort of a visual logic,
Yeah.
Do you think that as designers we're sort of more aware of those things?
Well, that's what you need to be an expert in. One of the things you need to be an expert in as a designer is visual logic, visual relationships, right? And how to use them for both aesthetic and communication purposes. Actually, maybe I'll just make that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, it was just in a Facebook discussion recently where I brought that up. Sometimes in discussions about areas of expertise that are visual rather than something technical, something more left brain, people will say when they run out of their own knowledge on it, they'll say, but then that's just
intuition.
No, a matter of opinion.
Oh, right.
What's the term though? Subjective.
Right.
The phrase "that's just subjective" comes up a lot around art and design, and of course there are subjective aspects because of course there are, and that's good. But often that just gets used as a way out of the fact that the person has run out of criteria and expertise and knowledge. So don't always believe people when they say something is just subjective. So whether or not you like something is subjective. Whether or not it resonates with you is a subjective experience, and so it should be. That is a personal thing. But whether or not something has effective visual relationships, well, there's a huge part of that that isn't subjective. It's only at the thin edge of the wedge that it gets to be a matter of opinion. But then science is also full of opinions, and in the sense of some people's work is showing one thing and other people's work is showing another thing, and they have to keep testing and testing to arrive at a more definitive answer. But in the meantime, there's debate. So there's lots of room for debate in the visual realm too, but some things you can apply criteria to. Well, that's good. It's high contrast, so you can see when I'm cutting it. That's good. The nice thing is, once I get cutting, then it actually flows better because I play with the resistance of the material as I cut to ease into curves.
Can you elaborate on what you mean by play with the resistance?
It's a tactile thing. So the knife in this material, there's a kind of resistance that I'm using. So I'm not just hacking away at it. I'm leaning into the knife in a way that causes it to ease into the curve, as opposed to ending up with something that looks very choppy because I'm doing this and then I'm adjusting my curve and adjusting my curve. And so that's why it will end up with a really good feeling of flow, because it's not choppy.
I happen to have cut some stencils out of that material as well, and I find it is trickier because it resists more. If your knife isn't sharp, you
have to have a sharp knife. Nothing good will ever come of a dull blade.
Yeah. And that paper is particularly unforgiving.
Yeah, because it's actually almost a thin card, almost. It's a very heavy paper or a thin card.
And I think it might have longer fibers or something, but it definitely
it's strong.
Yeah.
So I often have used this for stencils, especially in classes. I've provided this paper as stencil paper. Yeah, I think that's working out better than. So sometimes my cutting works out better than my drawing, and that's that principle of every step of the way you can be improving. So the drawing is giving me my plan, but in terms of the execution, I can actually make it better than the sketch that I've got on the page. Excuse me, chronic cough.
So I said your drawn line is the first go. The cutting is the refinement.
That's right. Refine as you go. Every layer. One more piece to cut out.
So Kim, you're using the sort of perimeter of this piece and its correlation to the page, right? So you're going to use that to place it on the page? Or that's the plan?
I'm going to place this on the page.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to stencil through it.
Yeah, but you're using its edges to align more or less to the page.
Well, I guess. Since that's how I positioned it originally, was as this whole page.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you can't change your mind, though, once you get to the page, though. Yeah,
exactly. But since it's not translucent material like Mylar, Duralar, or acetate, that means I am playing, slightly blind. Not totally blind, because I can flip back and forth and get an idea of what I'm doing.
Mia has a question. She asks, does anyone use jelly? I just tried to make a correction on my doodle and it looks like my pen dried out, yet it is almost full of ink.
Oh.
Do you know what the solvent is for those? Maybe if you dip the...
I would try rubbing alcohol. I'd soak the tip in rubbing alcohol. And then, for a little while. And then give it a wipe with a clean cloth. And then try to make it go again. Over and over and over again. And then maybe put it back in the alcohol. The other thing is there are pen cleaners, which are more... you might have rubbing alcohol in the house, whereas you might not have pen cleaner. I don't know what the solvent specifically for gel ink is, though.
I can Google it.
Our man Cal is going to go see what he can find out, because it's an interesting and good question. It's so frustrating, isn't it, when that happens? That happens with I find that happens with my Liquitex paint pens a lot. I think I saw something within the last year where they said they had done something to improve their pens. Okay. So that they were less annoying. Oh no, that was their spray paint that they had improved, because the spray paint nozzles were always clogging. So you'd have to throw out your cans after hardly using them. And that's not useful. Yeah, so I actually knew how I wanted to position this. I realized once I got here, because I'm continuing a line in the photograph. I'll show you. In the photo, this foam goes like that, so these shapes are going to continue off of that. But I have to get it in the right position, and then I have to tape it in place. By the way, Simone, I love the scarf you modeled on Instagram today, or maybe it was yesterday, but I saw it today. Okay, let's do that. There, that should keep it in place for a bit anyway. I should have started this drawing further up, because I see that I've run out of planning. Planning does have a role to play. So I realize that I've started the drawing too low down on this page. So when I position it where I want it, there's a gap. And it's a custom stencil, so that should never have happened. Oh well, I'll blame it on the fact that I'm talking to you as well as thinking about this. Because why not, right? Okay, so I think I will use the blue.
So she says, we'll do alcohol soap. Thought of putting it in hot water. Glad I did not. Although I think that might work too.
Hot water might be beneficial.
I'm going to post, I Googled it, and water is one of the options. So I'm going to post that in a second.
Okay.
Simone says, happens on the daily with my rapidographs, but I always use the Kohinoor pen cleaner.
Yeah.
Not sure how that would work on gel pens.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a different kind of an ink, so it's a semi-solid. Whenever you're doing dry brush or dry sponge, it's really crucial to have a test piece of paper beside you, or you'll just never get it dry enough. And, you know, as evidenced by my previous attempt, it's not like I get it perfect either, but there, I just put too much on, trying to get it into the corner. Oh well. Something that's nice about an artwork that is a book is that because there's so many spreads that are all part of the same artwork, it kind of takes the pressure off and therefore the preciousness out of getting everything perfect on each spread. I mean, of course, I'm trying to do a good job with every spread, but I'm less upset if it doesn't work out exactly the way I wanted it to, because there's so many other pages that are part of the book, and so that collection and sequence is an important aspect of the piece, not just a fixed single image. Part's going to be a little more stipply. I think that's okay. Is there be some dabs that are stronger? But I think that will work, and I might. One thing that's nice about the ink is it's transparent.
Tango says, wow, the alcohol soak worked. It is a white pen, but all sorts of blackish little specks came out of the tip.
Oh, interesting. Something clogged it, eh? So I'm delighted to hear that it worked. Thanks for the research, Cal.
Well,
or no, that was just my suggestion. Idea, yeah. Well, I'm glad it worked.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Okay, so this is where it stands right now. That's kind of fun, eh? I almost want to, you know, I've got the white dots here that are holes in the page. And then these ones are the green or teal that are holes in the page. But I'm kind of thinking I'm going to outline those ones in white. And then there'll be a nice relationship side to side between the ones that are filled with white and the ones that are outlined in white. So let's see if I have a paint pen. Some paint pens here somewhere.
Irene says, wow, love it.
Thank you. Are the paint pens over there, Cal? You know, the 2 containers of paint pens?
Yes, I'll get them.
Thank you. I just need the ones with black and white in them. Moment. Great, thank you. Okay, and I'm going to need to protect the underpage as I draw the outline, so I'll just put this underneath.
Mia says, love the continuity. You need my pen for the outline. Wish I could hand it to you.
I do have a, it's too fine though. I want to have a fatter outline. But I do have a white gel pen given to me by my niece Danica for Christmas one year, and it is awesome. It's not the Sakura jelly roll though. I have some jelly rolls that are metallic colors that I really like. But of course, the white is very versatile. Yes, and I'm thinking the jelly rolls are probably good and opaque. But I'll just do more than one coat. Let the first coat dry. And this one, the hole is shaped in an odd way, but I'm going to do the outline as a circle. It's the circle it would have been if it weren't interrupted by the diver on the reverse side. And now let's see if I can do a decent job around the collaged one. Just trying to be patient enough with the edges to do a decent job.
Simone said something a couple of minutes ago.
What were you looking for?
I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Simone said, "Thanks, Kim. I am posting for Me Made May."
Oh.
So more handmade to come.
Oh, cool. I did notice that hashtag, Simone. But that's so neat. And I know you have so many things. You had that whole year or something when you were making all those, all sorts of things, as I recall.
Mia says, "I hear Posca pens are great."
Yes, they are. They are. I have a lot of Sharpies to use up, Sharpie paint pens to use up before I get myself a nice collection of Poscas.
And
but I have a couple of Poscas.
And those are the water-based, which I don't think you can find anymore, right? Or
I think you can in Walmart.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have that. They have the Sharpie water-based in Walmart's.
Okay, I didn't.
Probably it might depend on the Walmart store, but yeah, I saw them at a Walmart we were at before the shutdown.
And just a little heads up that we're just past 3:30.
Are we? Wow. Time flies when you're having fun, eh? It's really lovely hanging out with you guys. It's quite therapeutic working together or hanging out together, you know. You don't have to be working on something, but the energy of the fact that we're together, chatting and so on. It's really, really nice. Okay. Of course, now the tape is sticking to everything. Let's get that dry. Okay, let's hold it up. I kind of get a nice perspective on what I'm doing when I hold it up. There now, see? That's interesting.
Yeah, I like that with the text showing through.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's important that the text shows through.
No, that's great. Mia says back, "And you too. You are amazing. Sending appreciation and blessings your way." And Simone says, "The feeling is mutual."
Aw,
and,
thanks.
And Tango or Mia says the title goes with the painting so well. Drilling into the ocean floor. Yeah, they've got the holes in it, right?
That's right. See, being responsive sometimes is better than me trying to sit down and think it through. You end up with these amazing connections because, of course, the subconscious has all kinds of things stored in it because you've been flipping through and looking through. And of course, I've read that headline several times. It's not like it's not been entered into my head, but it's not in my conscious thoughts as I'm doing things. So
she says your intuition is remarkable.
Well, the intuition is both a storehouse of your accumulated knowledge and a muscle that you have to exercise. So
the designer in me wants to now put a hole in the headline where the O is, and then have something in the
something show
that's ocean floory.
Yes, right. I could just glue that on.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun. Connect it up to what's... Well, I'll think about that. I don't know. Now I'm also thinking about, I have a blue, like a sky blue or robin's egg blue, that I feel like I might want to outline these holes. Because then the colors speaking to the colors, and then I don't know. I think I might need to do that. So the other paint pen thing?
Pens,
yeah. And I'll make that the last thing that I do today during our party. Because that'll be a nice stopping point. I always like to leave off at a good stopping point. So yeah, I have a Sharpie that's this blue here.
Mia says, soaking more jelly pens before I go to look for my art supplies. Must have them now that I'm inspired to create.
Excellent. Yeah.
Irene says, nice relationships of shape and color and value.
Well, thank you, Irene. Yeah, so now I'll just get this going around. So this will have a subtler effect, but it'll still, because it's graphic rather than photographic, it will echo the white and have a presence, just a lower presence than the other one.
No, that's fun. Because on the other side, the white ring is very noticeable. On this side, the white hole is the strongest.
Yeah,
you've
exactly.
Got this color that's similar values to what's around it. That's nice. Nice. Same but different.
Same but different. I should have a t-shirt that says that. Repeat and vary. Same but different.
Irene says, is that a blue water-based Sharpie?
Yeah. It is. It's a water-based paint Sharpie. So not one of their oil-based paints and not one of their permanent pens. And that makes the paint more opaque. That makes the color more opaque.
Irene asks, and I missed how you got those holes in the paper.
I cut them by hand. We'll look at the other side of this page, and that gave me the source material that I cut around.
And just mention of that made Mia go, oh, Irene, I was worried for Kim Lee's fingers.
That's sweet. Okay, just need to let this get dry a little bit, because when it's wet, it's just going to leave an impression on here. I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not ready for that kind of commitment. So
maybe put a protector sheet.
You know, it's drying pretty quickly. I'm just going to flap it around for another few seconds, and then I'll hold it up.
Yeah.
So you can see this side of it. I hold it close. So you see how it's subtle, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's there, it's connecting up to the blues in the stenciled waves. Stenciled wake, whatever you want to call it. Now I'm gonna flip this over to this side. And so, Irene, what you didn't see was the fact that those holes are holes in this aquaculture setting that octopuses live in. So here you can see an octopus in profile coming entering one of its holes or coming out of it. So I just cut out the holes in this one. But I also, this one is collaged on. So
Irene says, great. And Mia says, wow, it works extremely well.
It's fun, eh? So I'm going to do a flip through as the final thing. So there are the end papers. There's the cover. There's the end papers. There's my, I might return to this page and do something else, but, and there's this. And there's this. I think it's nice for some of the pages to have more minimal approaches. And there's this that has all kinds of stuff going on.
Do you often find, Kim, that you start out with something like this and then you sort of find your feet as you go further along?
Totally. I had no idea what I was doing when I did the end papers. I just said I have to do something. So I did something, and I haven't done anything like it since, but that's all right. I might, further in, I might go back to it and make it more like what follows. Whoops. Let's figure out what the pages are here. Still mean to put a little transparent color in a few of those segments. So there's some spreads I haven't done anything with yet because there were other spreads where I knew I wanted to do something, so I did those. And, that may not be the end of what I do with this spread, but that's the important element, and I'll just keep flipping through it until...
Mia says, loving it. We have a fantastic used Goodwill bookstore around the corner. As soon as it opens, I'm getting a book to alter. Such inspiration.
Fantastic. So much fun. I mean, there's so many books in the world, and not all of them are going to find homes for sure. They might as well get used because there are doubtless many copies. Get used for something like this and inspire you, right? So
Mia says that little meerkat-like animal is speaking to me every time I see it. Like people leave the earth alone.
Right. It's a ground squirrel, and it's in the prairies. And we have a friend of ours. He's a mentor of ours who lives on the Siksika Reserve in Alberta, and he showed a picture recently of either a ground squirrel or a prairie dog whistling, warning, and then dashing away into its burrow. Really fun. It's like I don't know if you remember Hinterland Who's Who. That was such a feature of my childhood. The little like public.
I don't even remember the theme, but it was very evocative. Yeah, anyway. It was super slow and like chill.
I loved those things. And you always learned about an animal. So thanks so much for joining me today for today's studio party, and more on this book next week. As I say, I'm going to be looking through some of my transfer film to see if I have something already printed that I'd like to transfer into the book. And if not, figure out something that I'll make to transfer into the book. And I could even try a couple of different kinds. No, I'll just stick with the one kind of transfer for now. One kind per session that I do transfers. It seems reasonable. So, what's memories about, Cal? Tango says memories.
Oh, probably for Hinterland's Who's Who.
Oh yeah.
And in fact, Hinterland's Who's Who's exists. They've relaunched it online, and I'm just going to post the website.
Oh, fantastic! I know they had. You could watch some of the old ones online on YouTube. Someone had put them up. But I'm so glad to hear that they've revived it, because I don't know. How does that get old, right? Learning about the animals. The song. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mia. Really appreciate you coming. And Simone and Val and Irene and Philippa and who am I forgetting?
Gerda.
Gerda, right. Yes.
Gerda and let's look back earlier. Philippa, I don't know if she's still here. Marcia Maxwell.
Oh, Marcia, yes, yes. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining me. And see you next week. Maybe I'll see some of you at Cal's Virtual Collage Jam on Monday.
Val says thanks.
Yeah, great. So take care. Take good care of yourselves, and get creative, because it's good for you, especially now. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. I'll leave it on for just a second or two so that mute your mic.